You don't know what you're going to get.
You don't know. All right, I'm going to get started, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. I am Erica Holloway, and I am joined today by the awesome Ameerah Saine of Brunch and Slay. And we're talking about leveraging up your brand today. And that is a big topic for us. Even if you're in the marketing space, recruiters tell me it is the hardest thing for marketers to do, which is to market themselves. So I called my brilliant branding friend here, Ameerah, and said, what can we do? And she said, I got lots of ideas. So I'm also joined today by my business partner, Aaron Bizak. Aaron is my business coach and pro. He's helped thousands of people take their career pivot to the next level, retool those toolboxes that they've already got, and figure out what they want to do for the rest of their lives and identify that niche. So Aaron, if you want to say a quick word, and then I'm going to turn it over to Ameerah.
I appreciate the opportunity to be here today. I'm sure I'm going to learn a lot from today's presentation. But if you guys need assistance with a career pivot or reimagining where you're taking your professional, educational, personal pursuits, let us know.
Absolutely. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce my good friend, Ameerah. Ameerah and I met a few years ago. She owns this amazing company called Brunch and Slay. They offer you a we build, we win motto. It's a very positive, reinforcing message. She's the author of the Rockstar Solopreneur Starter Kit, which you can get on her website, brunchandslay.com. And she's also a podcaster. And she hosts these amazing events, and she knows how to leverage sponsorships like nobody I've ever met. This lady can get people to put the money into an event like I've never seen. And I went and spoke at one of her events a few years ago, and we met, and I appeared on her podcast, and she's just got such a great agency. And like everybody else, she's had to pivot and do things a little differently with her company. So she's going to be able to talk about that. Ameerah, would you like to say hi to everybody and introduce yourself?
Sure. First of all, thank you so much for having me, Erica. It's been a great couple of years, getting to know you and watching your brand and watching you evolve. I mean, I think pivot should be our middle name in this day and age. What's life without a good pivot? What's a year without a couple of them, right? So I think I'm becoming more skilled at it, and I just want to share everything that I know. That's the we build, we win, right? If I know it and it's not trade secrets, why am I not sharing it? And that's pretty much why we have our community, is to share the things so that people don't waste the time trying to figure it out, right? And that's what today's call is all about.
Absolutely. And before I move on, I just want to thank Ameerah for her service, because she's also a veteran. So thank you for that.
Of course.
So where are we seeing everyone's personal brand these days? It's not just for celebrities anymore, it's for every single person out there. And one of the things that recruiters are constantly reinforcing to me when I talk to them about how people are getting out there and finding jobs is that we need to identify who we are, what we offer and bring to the table. And part of that is identifying your niche. What's your uniqueness? What's that differentiator that sets you apart from the crowd? So we're seeing people bringing their leverage to their website, their personal landing pages, social media accounts, and showing how they can really flex their smarts and stand out. Where we are seeing some trends right now is open to work. Obviously, we've all been on LinkedIn. We've seen everybody with their avatars that say open to work. I'm looking for a new position, and we want to look at how we can maximize that, how we can amplify that opportunity to reach people. And there was something that you mentioned the other day, Ameerah, and I want to get your take on this. How can we take that open to work opportunity and spread it, get more out of that and reach more people to increase our network and our reach?
So I would think, honestly, the first step is to get past LinkedIn. I know professionally we've been told that LinkedIn is the best platform, and it is. It's great for professional building relationships and learning from other people. However, in a time where we are at a once in a lifetime situation in history, where millions and millions of people are looking for work, we have to cast our net a little wider, and we have to do it unapologetically and be bold in knowing our skills. So that's going to mean going over to every platform that you have on social media, from Twitter to Facebook, and alerting people that you are open to work. And the filter that LinkedIn came up with is great. If you can't take that image and download it and you reuse it on others, then you can hop on over to Canva, which is a free platform, and you can add a banner on your photo, open to work, and that lets everyone know, and not just change that image, but go ahead and make a post. Hey friends, I don't know if you know it, but I am one of the millions of people who've been laid off during COVID. And I am a great content creator, or I'm a great whatever your skills are, and let them know. If you happen to know somebody who's looking for someone who's productive, who's dependable, don't forget about me. There's nothing wrong with doing that. As a matter of fact, you should do it once a week. There's always, a lot of times we think that there's one way to do things. And I forgot to use this example the other day, Erica. A couple of years back here in Texas, there was a gentleman who graduated from his MBA program and could not find a job. So rather than just accepting he was going to be filtered through systems and maybe not have the right keywords on his resume, he put on his best suit. He went out on the busiest freeway in Dallas, and he had a poster made and said, I have my MBA. I had a 3.7 GPA. I'm ready to work. Who's ready to hire someone who's going to add value to their team? He had a job by the end of the day.
Wow.
So I say that, I'm not telling you to go on the freeway, because, but I say that to say, toot your own horn, think outside of the box, and try to do something that other people aren't doing. And everybody on LinkedIn is saying open to work. What can you do to stand out? Right? How can you do something differently?
Yeah. I love the idea of using Canva. We need to use it as much as we can, because it used to be that you had to know exactly your frame size and everything. Canva does it for you now. Canva now has animated options. They do GIFs. You can make your own GIF on there if you want to. Anything that you need anywhere in the digital stratosphere, and hard copies. I mean, if you're looking to create brochures and things like that, something for people to take, then you can find it there. They make it so easy, and they have a lot of free options. So that's good. Something I also wanted to mention here that one of my recruiter friends mentioned to me is, you talked the other day about LinkedIn Premium. If you can afford it, go and get it so that you can connect with recruiters directly. I was also told there's something called crystalknows.com. Crystal Knows, it's like an app, and it allows you to directly connect with, I think it's 10 people a month, and it does a personality breakdown of them for you. So it tells you what way they like to be approached with information, what they like to know, how they learn, because we share so much information out there. There's just all this social mining going on, and it's a way for you to make the right pitch to the right people. So just something for you guys to also think about when you're getting out there. So let's move on to the social bio revamps. I know that this is a big source of stress for people. I've probably written my bio like 50 times since I've had LinkedIn and Facebook and Twitter and all that. I mean, I just keep constantly messing with it. Where are some places that people can go to really pump up those keywords and make sure that they're hitting the right message when they're out there promoting themselves?
So there are a couple of different platforms, right? When it comes to keyword optimization, a lot of people typically think that it's just for websites. It's not. So there's a couple of sites that I use when helping my clients. We help them create LinkedIn bios and business pages and everything under the sun. So I use KW Finder as a great starting place for any brand. It's a website that you can either pay for, or they do have a free option, which gives you a limited amount of searches. And what KW Finder does is truly helps you rank the top keywords in whatever category. So if I'm a writer or a technical writer, and I want to know what people are Googling about technical writers, then I would go to KW Finder and I would type in technical writer, and it would give me every different version of that, every word that's associated with it. And then as a person looking for a job, I want to pepper that into my bio. I want to pepper it into the summary of my last role. And this is strictly by what's being searched for on the internet, which in most companies, they're going to use the same kind of keywords. They're not going to put the work into making a different category just for their brand. That's a great one. The next, oh, I'm sorry.
No, I was going to say that, though, I love that. It's a great resource.
Yeah. And then we have answerthepublic.com. It's another really great resource when it comes to finding out what people want to know, right? So one of the things we kind of talk about, and I hope I'm not jumping ahead, is how to stand out, right? So you want to be seen as an expert or at least have a little bit more experience than your competitors. So what we want to do is we're wondering what content can we place on these social media platforms, or especially on LinkedIn, to stay relevant. And we don't just want to repost somebody else's article or something we saw on a friend's page, right? So a couple of things. One, whatever industry you're in, I'm going to use technical writer again. I would go to answerthepublic.com and I would just write in technical writer. In exchange for writing that, it is literally going to give me a breakdown of every search and the way the question was presented on the internet. So if someone's looking for technical writers, it's going to tell you what questions they asked about them, how they use them, and you can download it as a spreadsheet and use it as a guide. And what you could do is go through that list and see what the main questions are people have for technical writers. And then maybe you just map out a post to answer those questions. You would add that caption somehow in your post so that you're asking the people who have the call. You're going to hashtag it so you come up in searches. So now you're getting outside of your network. And that's why these keywords are important, because a lot of us only have smaller networks because we haven't been looking for work, right? So we haven't been invested in investing in thousands and thousands of people. Maybe you don't own your own business, so that didn't matter to you. So now not only are you looking for a job, but you're building your digital network. Answering the public and using those titles will boost your visibility on the platform. And if you use those hashtags that align with that caption, you're going to get in front of tons of people and have way more impressions than you ever thought you could. And it might be as simple as saying, these are 3 things every technical writer should do before starting a project. It could be something that simple. You're going to use those skills you already have to answer the questions that have been given to you by answerthepublic.com. And you get 2 free searches a day. And you can take the content and those questions and create content pretty much for a month, right? By answering one question a couple of times a week. And you look like a rock star. You got fresh content. You get to stand out, and you're building on skills you already own, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I loved it. I was using it the other day, and it's kind of funny because it's got the guy sitting there, right? And it looks like he's watching you type in your search.
Yeah.
But it's brilliant, and it's all plugged right into Google. So you're getting fresh content from Google, like exactly how people keyword searches. And you know, today SEO is everything. It's everywhere and it's everything. Another one I found was resumeworded.com. They charge for a lot more information, but they give you some information on how to identify yourself, how to give yourself that punchy title. You know, that 3-word title that we were talking about the other day, that, you know, you got to tell people who you are, what you do, and what you do that's special or unique about it. And you don't have a lot of time to get people's attention these days. So I love that. All right. And the last one, another common trend we're seeing here is anti-social content on social media, stuff that isn't engaging people, stuff that isn't getting very far and not getting a lot of reach. So something that you talked about the other day really rung a bell in my head. You said, if you don't take a post off, if a post doesn't go off in the first hour, then the platform starts to downgrade your content quality. Is that, okay, is that all social platforms? Is that just like, because we were talking about LinkedIn, is that also how it works on Insta and Facebook and all those?
Definitely. That first, immediately after you post, you want to stick around for about an hour. And you want to either, especially an example I just gave previously about highlighting your niche, that's when you want to go ahead and DM those close friends or those people you're comfortable with and say, hey, I just made a post today that I think you might like. Would you mind sharing it, or would you mind giving me some feedback on it? Because that's going to boost your post, because every time someone in your timeline or a friend or a person you're following posts, you don't always see it, because that's the way algorithms work. The only way they're going to work is if it's engaged. So if your feed, if you're not constantly in my feed, I will see your post and I haven't seen posts from you in weeks if you have engagement on it, right? And the best time to get engagement is right after you post. So tag those brands that you're mentioning tag any experts you're mentioning or any companies that you're interested in. This would be a great way if you have the premium package to go ahead and DM a recruiter and say, I understand that you have such and such position open. Here's a couple of posts that articles that I've written about it, or white paper I've written about it is here on my LinkedIn page. It gives you an opportunity to get them engaged. And even if they just say, thank you for sharing, that's engagement, right? And it helps you keep that relevant, and hopefully you can get a few shares. Right.
So you just talked about something. Okay, so you talked about engagement. Ameerah's mind works like real fast. So what Ameerah is talking about there is called an organic engagement pod. And that is kind of like what you were doing, Erin, when you posted that thing the other day and you sent it to people and said, hey, engage with this. And they came back and they did. And that started to boost your organic reach. There's a second way to do it. That's also an engagement pod, but you belong to a group. And the one that I've started using on LinkedIn that is working like gangbusters, and I am in no way, shape, or form as brilliant at the social media stuff as you are, Ameerah. And I used it. It's called LEMPod, LEMPOD. It's a real thing. LinkedIn does not consider it a bot yet, but it kind of works like one. But the reason why they don't quite categorize it that way is because you opt in to the pod you belong to, and the pod has to have like interests. So it's content that it's getting posted by people that you already have a natural interest in. So I'm part of, a business group pod, and I'm part of a marketing pod. And so all their content, when they post it, I'm automatically commenting and liking. And I did it one time. Now, again, I am not a pro at this, but I used it once, you guys, and I went from 500 views on my posts on average with like a few comments here and there to 2,000 in a couple hours. So it really went fast. And there's different sizes of pods. So some pods that are more popular, they'll have 70 to 150 people in it. Other pods are small that have 30. So you can imagine the amplification. And so what you were talking there, Ameerah, about using your engagement group to help drive interest and break through that algorithm ceiling is really, really important. What are some of those SEO applications that you use for keywording on like Instagram? I know that a lot of people use Later. That can be really helpful on Instagram. And then like YouTube has TubeBuddy, I think, but it's those keywords to help you stand out and break through those algorithms. So what are some that you like to use on some of those other platforms?
Instagram is a different beast. You're not going to be able to use a keyword that's going to boost it. Instagram is strictly about engagement. Their algorithm changes monthly. And you should not be so caught up in the likes or the reposts, because the actuality of it is people can still see your content. They just aren't liking it. After you've posted a while and they see that you're an expert, it's just human nature to just keep scrolling, which is why you want to incorporate some video and some GIFs into your content. People stop for video no matter what the platform is. And with Instagram, hashtags still work, right? Video works more. If you can put some reels together for your content, and it might just be as simple as creating the different story art on Canva. It does not have to be a high production. I cannot stress enough the benefit of Canva, because you have templates for every single platform and easy tutorials, so easy, right? So if there's something that you don't understand and you're a little nervous about embracing yet another technology or another platform, Canva is so user-friendly. That's why I use it. I can tell you right now, I'm not a graphic artist, but it kept my business alive the first year and a half, and I still use it. I just have my graphics team use it now. But it's a great platform. And another thing about the pods, I would say, it's great for engagement. Just make sure you're committed, because they're going to have rules. You're going to have to respond to everyone within the pod. So if you know you don't have time to respond to 150 people's comment posts, don't join. You will be banned. And those things used to be very prevalent on Instagram. They're no longer allowed, even if it's niche down. So take advantage now. Get those following now, build your network now while they're still allowed on LinkedIn, because I don't think they'll last long.
They probably won't. And yes, I fully agree. You've got to break through that algorithm, because once you're up above it, then you're considered an expert, and You don't have to worry. Guy Kawasaki doesn't have to belong to a pod, right? I mean, he could put out a one-line sentence and get 1,000 engagements in the first minute. But that's because he learned how to master those algorithms when they were still able to be manipulated to our advantage. Not the case really anymore. They've gotten very, very tricky, and it makes it very, very difficult for us to get around it. Okay, so that brings us to what you just brought up, content. Oh boy, this is the hard one, right? What do I say? Well, I think LinkedIn or Instagram has made us all sort of cynical, right? Because everything was all be perfect and be glossy and be, put out the most amazing image of yourself. And now it's, you got to be real. You got to be real. Glossy's over. People want realness. They want honesty. They want to know that you're an authentic and real human being. And there are a lot of things out there that help you kind of leverage that up, right? You've got YouTube and Instagram, ways that they can put your realness out there, but you got to tap into your audience in the right way. So how do you create content that's authentic, that's engaging, and actually gets people to listen to you without looking too perfect? Like you said, it doesn't have to be perfect. It has to be you. I mean, some of the posts I've seen out there where, they've got messy hair and they've just been walking around with their camera in front of their face and they're like, hey, guess what I'm doing today, guys? That gets a ton of views. So what's the secret?
I mean, there's a reason reality TV wins, even after all these years. You think back to the real world, how enamored we were with this, and you're like, do they not know the camera's there, right? I'm not expecting you to go that far, but I think technology has basically given us all our own reality TV show. And it can be about whatever topic we want it to be on. So there's two things I would like to add. One, when you're reposting content from someone else's page, let's say you see a great article you feel like you want to speak to on LinkedIn, take a moment to go to the article and actually grab the link and repost the link within your own post, as opposed to just sharing it. If you're sharing it to support a colleague or someone in your network, yes, do that. But if you're sharing it to give your 2 cents, go ahead and clean it up a little bit and take the link and add your own 2 cents in it, because people are hearing it. They might have seen the article. It might be a hot bucket, right? Maybe it's going viral right now. So what are you saying different? What perspective are you adding to this particular piece of content, right? And then the second is to go back to our first couple of things we talked about earlier and go to answerthepublic.com. I cannot stress enough how knowing what you're going to talk about, right? Because you aren't a social media influencer. You didn't sign up for this. You didn't sign up to be looking for a new job in a new area right now, right? But that means that you might not be abreast to creating content. Having something that kind of lays out to you, people want to know about this, and you can check off the things that you can actually speak to. I would do that. And what you do is maybe get 10 topics from that list that you could speak to. And you can repurpose that content. Let's say I'm only going to talk about how starting your own marketing agency helped me. And that's my only topic for this week. One post on Monday might literally just be 3 things I learned from starting my own digital agency. And that might be a static image that I create in Canva. I might speak about those same 3 things on Wednesday, but this time I'm going to go live on LinkedIn. I'm going to go live, and it's going to be for 2 minutes. And I'm just going to say, this week I'm sharing what I've learned. And it could be the same exact 3 things you shared on Monday. But guess what? The percentage of people who saw Monday's post or who tapped into live are going to be different. So you're going to get that content either to someone who needed to hear it twice, or someone who never would have opened it unless it was alive.
Right.
And then on Friday, turn it into a GIF. Same 3 things, right? You're just repurposing content. And that is the key to social media. Refresh it, make it new, and put it in a different package. And guess what? People take that medicine and they enjoy it.
Yeah. And you just touched on something that it took me forever to figure out. Batch your content. Pick a day that you're gonna do all of what Ameerah just laid out. Pick a day, set some time aside. If Sunday afternoon is your quiet time and you can think, which is when I do my content for the week, and I sit down and I do all my content and then I schedule it. because you're going to get busy during the week. I mean, some of us are part-time teachers right now. So, you know, things are going to come up during the week and you don't want to stop that conversation. At the same time, you want to be thinking strategically about what you say. So that really gave me some sanity, because in the beginning it was like, oh my gosh, it's 2 o'clock and I haven't posted anything. And that it's really frustrating, because you're like, I'm a marketing agency of one for myself. So if you could think ahead on the things that you want to say. And she's so right about this answer the public thing. I sent it to Erin, like, right, I was like, can you believe all this information they gave? It was like a whole spreadsheet of search history from people. And it was like, how do I do blah? And it was the way that they framed the questions. Like right now, the #1 trending question on career changes: can I change my career at 30? Can I change my career at 40? And the answer to both of those questions is yes, by the way. Proof. So I loved it, because it gave me such good like content ideas to, you know, work on for the future and keep it fresh, but also to, like you said, talk about things that people care about. Right. And figure out how to repurpose it and just say the same thing different ways.
Right.
And
I'd like
get
to
that message out there.
Piggyback 2 things on that. So great example of how that question, because I want to be very clear on that. I know that I'm in my head, right? And I've done this so long, it's just second nature. But when you make the title for that caption about, can you change your career after 30? That's what you make the title. Can I change my career after 30? And then you go into, that was the question I asked myself, right? And guess what? Ranking, you won, you hit it out of the park. You answered that question, right? The second is back to that engagement. So perfect example, you make that post, right? And then Erin says, oh my gosh, this is exactly what I needed. And you didn't stay on for that hour. And now you can't respond to her until 6 o'clock at night. Right. Guess what? You've offended Erin and she's over you. It's just that simple. Because that's just as bad as me walking up to her and saying, I love that blouse. Where'd you get it? And she just keep walking. So set those notifications up on your phone. Worst case, if you can't dedicate sitting there for an hour, set a notification up, make it loud, and make sure you respond.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's how you keep the conversation going. And I also find that goals are really important too, because if I can't set a goal, and it's like, if you don't know where you're going, any path will get you there. You really do have to set a goal. You do have to schedule. I used to have clients that I did their marketing plans for them. I'm not a social media expert. What I tell them is, when you have a content calendar, it's like your roadmap to victory, right? And they go, because it's drudgery. You know, it's a new muscle that you have to flex, and it feels really awkward and time consuming in the beginning. But then you start to realize when to do it. And these tricks are so good, because there are so many times where I'm sitting there going, oh my gosh, what am I going to talk about this week? Mm-hmm. And these kinds of tools are just so great to keep that conversation going with your audience. So now we're going to talk about something that is really, really crucial to content now. Used to not be that big of a deal. I felt like when I first started in the social media scene, like a decade ago, there really weren't any calls to action. It was like, look what I ate for lunch today. You know, like we didn't know what to do with this new tool. And now it's, are you feeling blah? And then a bunch of little bullet points and check marks and emojis, and then click this link. But what all the industry experts say is, if you do not have a call to action on your content, you're basically wasting your time, because you're not telling your audience why you want them to listen to you. And you and I were talking about this the other day, Ameerah. You are gangbusters on the CTAs. I know that this is something you're super, super passionate about. So when you're looking at engagement, we don't want to be too salesy, right? We don't want to be salesy. We want to inform, we want to entertain. But how should we be driving our audience, and where should we be driving our audience? What should be our end goal with a CTA?
Well, I think in this scenario, your end goal is to be gainfully employed, right? So each platform has a different demographic and a different love language, basically, you're right, to communicate with their audience. So we used the example of Twitter the other day, and we talked about Twitter's where you can show a little bit of your personality. So maybe that's a place where you talk to your people who you engage with all the time and say, You know, applied to 17 jobs today, got a confirmation from 2. Anybody feel the pain? You know, or anything like that. We talked about creating something in Canva, and see, I took Erica and Ameerah's class. They hyped Canva. This was my expectation. This is what I got. Anybody else ever have this experience? It's not necessary. It doesn't always have to be a CTA that's an end goal of hire me. If you're hiring, click this button or click this like. It's just giving people an opportunity to engage with you enough to want to keep coming back and want to keep you in their feed.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So even if that recruiter who you DM'd on LinkedIn isn't hiring, that doesn't mean she doesn't like you enough to keep you in mind for the next role when somebody moves on 2 weeks from now. So use the CTA as an opportunity to always be educating people that you're around. Like, don't forget about me. I'm still here, right? And use that opportunity. You could use things like double click if you felt this before. If you wanted answers to this question when you were 30, share the best answer you ever got. Share how you woke up this morning. Share what you hate about Fridays now that you work from home. It literally could be, you just get creative. And I think you have to be original, right? And you don't want to ask. So you want to give, then ask. Give, then ask, right? And even though you're asking them to take action in some capacity, it might just be share the book that motivated you this month in my timeline.
I like that breakdown because I always tell people you've got to work in threes, right? So I like the give, ask. I really like that because it's very simple to remember. I struggle with that too because when am I supposed to get to the heat of the meat, right? Like, what am I supposed to, where am I supposed to like take this home? And people just don't respond that well. Like oh my gosh, I wrote about this the other day. I can't tell you how many times I have connected with people on LinkedIn and 10 seconds later, bing, a sales, post comes up into my direct messages. I'm like, I don't know you like that. Don't you try to sell me right now. So you do have to educate people. You have to give them a reason to be interested in you, and you have to put your personality behind it. I mean, it's such a lost opportunity to just, send that. I mean, my gosh, you got to bring people in. Man, that direct message sales pitch is that's bad news. I don't know where these people get this idea that that's a good idea, but I'm seeing that so much right now, and
absolutely.
it's
I think
so
people
bad.
they forget that although it's virtual, it's our real life. This is our new normal, right? So I would never walk up to you and just meet you at a happy hour and say, or I wouldn't ask you for anything. I just wouldn't. I would build a rapport with you. LinkedIn is the same. So even with those recruiters, maybe you are posting consistently now, right? And you're adding value and you're tooting your own horn. Just slide them a message. Made a post today I thought you might like. Hope you're having a great week. It might be your dream company. I would immediately start following your dream companies. This is the time for that. This is the time to cultivate relationships. So what if you get a job right now that is for now? We might have to do that, right? This is the real world. We still have mortgages and obligations. But that doesn't mean you can't go ahead and target where you want to move next. Right. And you start building that relationship with them now and allowing them to see what kind of person who they could bring in to add value to their team. So we have to be strategic for the long game.
And that was something that one of the recruiters that we had on a couple of weeks ago said, just because you don't get a job or you don't get something from someone, you're supposed to give them something. I mean, send them a takeaway. Here's an article that I saw the other day that I thought you might be interested in, or something like that, where you're leaving them with something that makes you stand out and it isn't pushy. Because people they have much more barriers now. Like I was just talking about the DMs, that's a trigger for me. People have a lot more barriers now with social media. It used to be kind of the Wild West and it was a free for all. And it's not really like that anymore. There's a lot of, we've learned the protocols and there are certain norms that we expect from people when they engage with us online. And when they cross that threshold, we're like, whoa. So you're right. There's a way to engage with people and give them something that they're going to value without being pushy.
Right.
And help you stand out at the same time.
Another thing you and I talked about the other day that I failed to mention earlier is that a lot of times we forget that people are human, and those folks who are filling the roles in those companies are overwhelmed, they're overworked, right? And anything you can do to help them out in their search adds value to their day. That means if you create that content, right, for whatever industry and you're posting that regularly, when you DM them, of course, or when you submit a resume, they do go to LinkedIn. And if they can easily scroll down your page and say, she knows her stuff, She's committed to it. She's standing out, right? Her bio gave me 3 wins, 3 things she does clearly. I didn't have to read a dissertation in her bio. It was easy. It was a professional image that was relevant to this decade, right? Let's talk about it. Right? We cannot put these classic images of what the yesteryears on our LinkedIn profile. We have to, go ahead and take that professional shot. iPhones do great shots now, right? Go ahead and put on a good suit or a good dress and get out there with a solid background and get a great photo. That's number 1. We should have covered that.
I'm using my new ring light as we speak, because it looked like I was in a cave when I did a Zoom call. Now that we're in the new normal. So we have Mia on the call, and I see her there, and she's a photographer, and we were lamenting to each other the other day, like, what is with all of these bad photos online these days? And I can hook my phone up to this thing and take a great shot. I mean, is it going to be a professional shot in the studio? No, but it's still going to look new. So yes, important, very important. Put your best foot forward out there.
Yeah.
That gets us to visuals. Okay, so we want to be eye-catching, we want to be relevant, we want to do all of these things to create clear, engaging imagery. And all you have to do now is look at Instagram to know how important imagery is now to selling stuff. I mean, it's everywhere. So obviously now you can use Canva to create things that are useful on all the platforms, already properly formatted for you. But can you talk just a little bit about what you think the perfect combo is in imagery and copy? Like, should we be putting out images with less copy? I know that this is something that I struggle with. Like, if I have an image, I've seen posts that are like miles long and they get tons of engagements, and I'm like, and that just kind of flies in the face. Like, it seems counterintuitive to me. And then other ones where it's just got a photo and like 3 lines, and that gets a ton of engagement. I'm like, I'm confused. What am I supposed to do?
I think it is a formula, and each platform is a little different, right? LinkedIn tends to let you get away with a lot more words than most other platforms, but they are evolving, especially now that they have pods. They're on their way to Influencerville. So I definitely would say be careful about when you make your graphics. The only time I would say put a banner over it is when you're adding the open to work. Other than that, the algorithms slow it down. Even for ads especially, they want more picture than words on imagery, right? So be careful about that's why I gave you the example of maybe a static image, that's a quote, then a live, then a picture of you, or whatever the case may be, a GIF of you, because algorithms will slow down if there's too much word on an actual JPEG file or a PNG file. So you should know that. The second is for the summary, be authentic to you. If you're a person who would never write a dissertation under a post, don't start now, because it's not going to be authentic and it's going to be tiresome and you're going to stop doing it. 1 paragraph is enough. Most people aren't reading it anyway. If you're adding a link for them to click, give them bullet points. Break up the post. That's why you'll see a paragraph, space, space, paragraph, space, space. Same thing with emails. People skim, right? We do not read it all. So think about your habits. If you know you wouldn't do it, don't post it. If you wouldn't do it, don't post it. That's my rule of thumb. Some people do really great with dissertations, and typically it's because they're sharing personal stories. If it's a long post, it's something personal, it's worth reading, it's something that got them involved, right? And people like that because they're getting in your business. They're on your reality TV show, right? If it's a dissertation about a book you read, no one cares.
Yeah.
Unless it changed your life and you're talking about how that book changed your life.
And I've seen how too, that there's been, like, Instagram has started to influence how other platforms work. Like, I've seen now where the call to action is in the first comment. And that is new. I had not seen that previously, but that seems to be a good way to draw people in. Like, you're like, hey, I saw this really interesting, or read my latest blah, blah link in the first comment. And I don't know why I'm seeing that getting more engagement than when it's actually in the post. But the only thing I can assume is it's because, you know, we're looking at the way that we engage with Instagram, because they're like, link in the bio. And so we're used to going somewhere else in the little breadcrumb trail to find the information that we want to look up.
Yeah, I think that works for 2 reasons. One, people want to be told what to do. It goes back to the CTA. You told them what you wanted, right? Second is to be honest with you, they don't want to read it. They don't. That's why Instagram won. It was never made for dissertations and for blog posts. It was made for you, the people who were tired of the folks oversharing on Facebook. They just wanted to see the pictures. That was the premise of Instagram. And that's why they exploded, because people just wanted to see the pictures. With LinkedIn, that's where you get to be an expert. So just evolve the idea of great looking images, right? Whether it's the real world image or not, right? Even if it is messy hair, do it in good lighting, right? So you get that part of Instagram. You get the part of Facebook where you can connect with people you don't talk to often or you worked with 20 years ago, right? You get that part of the connection, but you also get the business part of it where you get to see it, be seen as an expert, similar to a blog. So you kind of have all three in one. It's just make it easily digestible for people, because people tend to look at LinkedIn during work time. Very few people other than marketers or business owners are on their late night looking for something hearty, right?
Yeah.
They're unplugging, right?
Agree. And the last thing we want to talk about today is, you know, experiment. Like, we're talking about all these tried and true techniques, and they change, you know, like I was talking to somebody the other day that said, you know, I used to be like kind of a pro at LinkedIn, and it's sort of suddenly very different. And part of that too is because the platforms are constantly looking for ways to monetize, right? They're trying to figure out ways that they can monetize. You used to be able to go in, download your entire network from LinkedIn into a spreadsheet and drop that into MailChimp and market to those people. And then they were like, oh, wait, people like doing that. We're going to charge for it. So, you know, like the platforms themselves are constantly looking at tweaking things so that they can figure out how they can make money off of us to use this. It's like social media is free, kinda, but it's not really anymore, because the good stuff costs money, right? And time is money too. I mean, yes, we're putting content out there for free, but if it's a waste of your time and it's not getting you any traction, you're not reaching your target audience, then it's not really an investment that you're going to see a return on. So it kind of feels like you need to experiment, but I want to talk to you a little bit about how to find the channel that's right for you, because I know that you know a lot about this. You talked to me about trying to find your personal clients' niches, right? Like, if you're really good on LinkedIn, focus on that and start small. I mean, it's kind of, I used to get really freaked out when I had marketing clients who were like, well, we've got 10 platforms that we're using and they all have like 100 fans. And I'm like, oh my gosh, where do I start? We've got to simplify. So how do you know where to start? I mean, should we go straight to a YouTube page if we think that, you know, that makes sense for us and experiment, or should we stick with what we know and grow out? You know, what is your advice when you're working with clients to find the right place?
Well, for clients, I think it's a little bit different because their whole goal is to grow, right? And in this particular situation, we're talking about becoming gainfully employed or leveraging up, even if that means starting a small business, whatever the case may be. I think LinkedIn is a great platform because when it comes to professionalism and you're trying to stay in the job market, you do want to put a little bit more energy into LinkedIn. But when it comes to your personal brand, you want to do what you gravitate to, and you want to do it someplace you kind of own it. So I always say your website, right? You're going to start there because every social media platform, you can drive traffic to your website where you can put links to those YouTube videos and you can put links to that podcast. Me, I'm a natural chatty Cathy. So it just made sense for my brand to have a podcast. It's something that I would never break a sweat. I would never freak out about having content to speak on. Now, if you wanted me to do a video television show or YouTube channel every week, that would cause me some stress because I would have to keep my roots done and I would have to do all these different things, you know? But I think it really gravitates toward what you're comfortable with. I do think going live is something we all need to get comfortable with. Going live is great for a couple of reasons. Not only does it give people a way to see you, but when it comes to video, and now if you look on Instagram's feed, video is kind of number one, right? And it's constantly populating, which is why you see some of those folks posting 80 times a day, because every time you post, you get higher up in the list where people will see you. If you only post it in the morning, they got to scroll through 150 stories before they get to yours. And most people are looking at those stories while they're in line, while they're at a red light, while they're on their lunch break, right? So if you're not posting at a time frequently enough, they'll never see your story and they'll just skip them all. So I don't believe you should oversaturate by doing 100 different stories or lives a day, but I do think you should look at your page. It will give you, Instagram will give you all of your analytics for free. And you can look at the times of day that people engage mostly with your post or stories. And then you'll know, oh, I always need to post a story at lunchtime, at 12:25 to be exact, you know, and you'll know exactly when, and you get a formula that works for you. But I think when it comes to the business perspective, LinkedIn is great with sharing the content you've already created. So if there's a new podcast episode out, you tell them about it on LinkedIn, you give them some bullets, and then you drive traffic back to what you own, your website, right? Because that's the only way you're really going to grow. And Instagram changes its algorithm so much. If you were married to those likes, you would go crazy, because it just doesn't work the way it used to. They always start out giving us the easiest way to gain, you know, popularity, and then they take it away. So because they want to monetize, right? So
yes,
I think that.
I think that that's, you know, I stress about Instagram because I started Instagram when everybody was just sharing like all their food pictures. and I was a new mom. So all I did was share pictures of my kids. And then I didn't like when Instagram got bought by Facebook and they were doing like free imagery. And so I was like, oh, I don't want pictures of my kids on Instagram anymore. So I just scrubbed my account and I kept my handle, of course, because I didn't want to get rid of that. But now I'm like, all right, I need to reapproach this social media. So I've been getting myself mentally ready to do it because it has really changed. The way that people are using it has changed a lot. And I do see the value in it. You just have to use it the right way. And I've seen a lot of YouTubers use Instagram in a very, you know, complimentary way. And you're right. I mean, we do have to get comfortable being the face of our brand. It's just really, you know, it's kind of like, okay, it's broccoli. Yeah. I have to eat my broccoli, I suppose, you know. Yeah. I don't want to, but yeah, if it's good for me, I got to do it.
I think Instagram is one that you could definitely embrace a little bit more because they basically are one-stop shop. You don't need YouTube because you can do IGTV. You can share that link on LinkedIn. You can do Reels, so you don't need TikTok. You can share that link on LinkedIn. Right. You can go live, right? You can post an image. So if there were two, I'd say LinkedIn and Instagram. They're killing it. Okay. Like that would be so easy and quick. And I want to stress that because I don't want people to walk away from this overwhelmed thinking there's so many options. Go small, start with one, right? Start with one and get used to making the content. Get used to being seen as an expert because you probably never really positioned yourself as an expert.
Yeah, no, we don't.
Had this career for years and you know a lot. So capitalize on it and just focus on putting out there and making people aware of how great you are at what you do.
Yeah. And last, making this work for all of us. Our homework, take that open to work and amplify it. Just get out there, make it work for you. You know, just really sing your praises, cash in all those friendships that you have, get people to put your testimonials out there, get referrals, tell people what you're looking for and where. That's really key. That was something that one of the recruiters had shared with me this week, actually, that they're noticing that a lot of people are posting their open to work posts, but they're not saying what exactly they're looking for and where. So just be real honest about exactly what you're looking for. Beef up that bio, look at some of those options that we have to really tap into your keywords, reach people with your message, identify your niche so that people can brand you properly, because in absence of you branding yourself, they'll brand you for you. And we're all kind of like baking powder, right? Or baking soda. There's a million uses for us. So what's the one thing that you want to be known for, and focus on that. I like that idea, especially when it comes to really keying in on the right social platform to promote yourself. That makes it easier too, because it's giving you kind of a much more tangible, bite-sized way to market yourself. Yeah. And then, you know, don't leave that CTA gold on the table. Figure out a way to drive people back to your landing page, your website, your Insta, if you have an Insta, or whatever you're using to promote your work. And don't forget your portfolios. Even if you don't have a full website, WordPress has a great portfolio theme plate that you can get. They're free. You don't have to pay for those ones. and put your content on there. If you're a designer, put your designs on there so that people can see what you do. And that's a good way for people to get to know you too. If you don't want to do the full website and you want to start small, you know, a portfolio landing page on WordPress is just perfect, but get people to engage with you. Join a pod and experiment it. Like Ameerah said, they might be going away anytime. So jump on them and help them leverage you. And then of course, there's always the organic engagement pods that you can grab. Tell your people that you're posting content and you want them to come and give you a like and a thumbs up and a comment. And that helps you break through that algorithm barrier. Get out there and break out. Because the way it kind of works, at least as somebody explained it to me, it's like you get through that first 10% and then they burst you out to the next 10% and the next 10%. And it's all about just, like in sales, if you've ever done sales, it's all about the averages. So more eyes on your content is better. Did I leave anything out here, Ameerah?
No, I think that's great. I mean, those are great places to start. I think the bio is big, right? And being clear on what your offering is. We can't stress that enough. Just there's nothing to be ashamed about. I think that's the biggest thing, is people overcoming their fear of seeming as if they're bragging on themselves. This is the time to. You should be telling people what value you add to their life and how you can make their organization better.
Yeah,
that's the whole point. Yeah,
absolutely. Well, I want to thank everybody for joining us today, and I hope this was really helpful for you. I'm going to follow up with all these resources that we had and we recorded today, so you can go back and listen to all of Ameerah's brilliance later on if you'd like, or share it with a friend of yours if they weren't able to join us today. Thank you, Ameerah. I love you. I miss you in Houston.
I know, you're so welcome. You're so welcome. And if you guys have any questions, feel free, you can email me, info@Brunch and Slay, or you can check out from the media questions. If you have questions about LinkedIn, we actually do that a lot for clients. It's at basmedia.net, and just send us a question, whatever you have. We literally have a whole group of folks who just work on LinkedIn profiles. So if you are a person like me who just likes to outsource and like, you know what, I can't take any more disappointment in my life, and I need someone to just help me whip this page into shape, just go ahead and send us a message and we'll help.
Sounds good. Well, thank you so much, everyone. I will follow up, and join us in 2 more weeks. In 2 weeks, we're going to do interview hacks. We're going to help you seal the deal and get that job. So we're going to get all the things from preparing for the interview, practicing for the interview, and answering those tricky behavioral questions. So thank you so much, guys, for joining us. Have an awesome day. We'll see you soon.
Bye.